Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to episode 99 of the Falcoholic Live. I'm, of course, your host, Kevin Knight, joined by a full house of co-hosts this evening, including the triumphant return of my original co-host, Mr. Eric Robinson. You know him as _Eric_Robinson on Twitter. And Eric, it has been a long time. We're happy to have you back. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I would be doing even better if Dirk Cutter wasn't the offensive coordinator, but
yeah,
here we are.
We all would be. And no, we're gonna give Eric, his chance to dish on this Falcons offseason because he's had to keep his takes inside for too long, and we know that that's not gonna last. So we will get to him very shortly. Before we do that, though, I want to welcome my other co-host this evening. First off, Mr. Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way on Twitter. Adnan, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well tonight. The Falcons have not played football in the past. It's been over a month now, so I've been very stress-free in this past month.
Yes. Yeah, it's been, remarkably so. No, other than, the infuriation of Dirk Cutter being brought back and all of that, it's been, remarkably less.
But we can just pretend like that didn't happen until
right. Yeah, if we close our eyes and don't go on Twitter at all, and don't think about the Falcons, then maybe we can pretend that didn't happen. But, yeah, unfortunately it did. But also with us tonight, Mr. Evan Birchfield on Twitter at the very easy to remember at Evan Birchfield. Evan, how are you this fine evening?
Good. It's taken a lot to get used to having to take, weeks off to talk about the Falcons, but it is the off season. So yeah, I guess there was non-Falcons news today, but seeing like the Buccaneers get new uniforms was pretty much, I'm a uniform junkie, so I was kind of excited.
Yeah. It's funny because the Bucs, as I'm sure everyone knows, the Bucs recently changed their uniforms and have already decided that the time has come to change them again, which I think we can all agree is the right decision because those Bucs uniforms.
When is the official reveal?
Probably in April. Yeah. That's when I think the Falcons and Rams, also the Browns, I think, are getting new uniforms. So.
What?
Yeah. They literally just redid theirs too.
No, the Browns uniforms is going to be like their new helmet design. It's going to be the same thing, but they'll say it's different.
Yeah, different shade of brown. Yeah.
What are the Rams doing?
They are doing I think it's like a CEO or something has been hinting at it. It seems like they may go back blue and white, but they're doing like a whole change apparently. The Browns, from what I've read, are doing more back to their basics, which honestly is their best look. It's
it is
the one from forgot who the quarterback was, but probably like the 80s, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the Rams make sense. They're about to move into that brand new stadium in Inglewood.
Well, they got the gold trim on the shoulders or whatever from their past thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird, but...
I never understood that. Yeah, they kept the gold trim, but they changed the helmet.
Yeah, it looks so weird.
Yeah.
It did.
But those blue Rams jerseys are really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the blue and white is a good look, so they should go back to that for sure. But
and the Bucs should do the creamsicle.
Yeah, maybe they will.
That's what they I don't know if you watched the video, but the video had it was pretty cool how they did it, but it had newspaper clippings giving little hints, and it said back to glory or something, basically hinting that the orange or the creamsicle orange is coming back, because I think the only thing they really used it for currently is the football, which is, you don't even notice it, right? Probably.
That means they're going to have to revamp everything.
Yeah.
From the logo to the field design, they're going to have to revamp everything. So that's going to be a unique change for them. Unlike the Browns. The Browns, they don't do anything.
It's going to be another very minor change.
I do love the Bucs creamsicles, and I do hope they revamp the logo and everything. But I'm just wondering what glory they had when they were wearing those jerseys the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Good point there, Adnan.
Yep.
The glory of a winless season, I guess.
Yep.
Well, their best season, they were wearing before they switched or whatever, like the Derek Brooks look. So, I don't know what what the
they're gonna have to switch up because their stadium is even designed similar to their current uniform, so they're gonna have to change like the seating, the color of the seating and stuff like that. They're gonna have to change a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and since we came on last time, we've heard some clues about the Falcons' uniform design. Blank, I think, and some of them have hinted that it's going to be a more modern look, which I think we all kind of figured it would be based on the rest of what the NFL is doing. We can just hope that it's not too crazy modern to where it looks like the Bucs, where they went like way too far, and it's they're changing it 2 years later or something like that.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah. So
there's two ways they could go. They could go the Bills route, where the Bills had honestly one of the worst uniforms I've ever seen. Like when Drew Bledsoe was there or whatever.
Yeah.
They were like they used a blue that they don't even use anymore, but it was weird looking. But then they went to basically a throwback modern mix, and it looks perfect. I mean, you saw it in the Super Bowl. Those teams, even though the colors weren't exactly matching together, it was like clean looks on both sides of the Chiefs and 49ers. I don't know. I've always been more of a, I guess, like a classic old school, fan. But I mean, they can do it more modern, I think, and make it look good. It's just, I hope Nike isn't. They said they listen to the fans, which hopefully, that could go one way or another. But
that means black. Like,
I don't think the fans actually clamored for new uniforms. We just wanted the all blacks to come out.
Yeah, we just wanted the black. Like,
and then there's a clear divide between fans. There's a lot of fans who want red helmets back.
Yes, give me red. I'm team red helmet.
Yeah, and then there's some that only care about the black jerseys, which I mean I'm on board with. I think I'm kind of shocked they already had it in their lineup. I don't know why, when they had Vic, remember they had the all black and stuff. Like it wouldn't have been hard to like have that as an alternate. But
yeah, it was weird that it seemed like they felt like those uniforms were associated with Vic, and then they were trying to like distance themselves from him. But it's been long enough. We deserve our black jerseys back.
The all black unis.
Yeah, like the
it was like basically era. What they're wearing now, but the all black,
like black pants, black top.
I think they had it for Matt's rookie year.
I think they still did.
And then they stopped it. You're right.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see. I kind of expect that there'll be more silver involved. That is also historic. They used to have the silver pants, and Falcons are actually silver. So I wouldn't be shocked if they go for more silver trim or some silver accents or some sort of wing-related design, because that seems very modern to me. I don't know, but
as long as there's no gold, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. There's no. I don't see any place for gold.
I don't care that Atlanta United has gold. We should not be wearing gold, and that's frankly a dumb reason to put gold on there.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta United and the Falcons already share red and black. Like, they don't have to share literally every color. Like,
imagine if the Falcons changed their uniforms to match the new soccer team in town.
That's a bad one.
As staple as the Falcons have been in the city of Atlanta, they're altering their uniforms to mimic the soccer team, which has already come in and won titles and stuff like that. That would be weird.
Which also copies the color scheme of the team's biggest rival as well.
Yeah, the gold. I don't think that the Falcons fans would get behind gold. I think you guys probably are very much on board with that. It just doesn't really make sense, I think, for them in a lot of ways. But I promised that Eric would get a chance to deliver his takes. I know he has some. Eric, I will open the floor to you. I know you're probably going to want to dish on some of the Falcons' decisions, so, go ahead, my friend. The floor is yours.
Well, I mean, I started off the show with, my take, I guess, on Dirk Cutter still being around as the offensive coordinator for 2020, and I'm not a huge fan of it. I wasn't a huge fan of his hire in the first place. The guy didn't prove me wrong at all for the season. I expected him to come in and throw on every down, neglect the run, and not even have any creativity. Lo and behold, that was the Falcons offense in 2019. They threw a lot. They rarely ran the ball, and there was really, for as much talent as they had on the field, there was no creativity. It was very lackluster. I mean, we were calling plays from Twitter sometimes. So it was just – that's just how I I still miss Kyle Shanahan. All right, that's where I am right now. Like, he's been gone for a while, and I still miss him. And I still think a guy like Steve Sarkisian would have been. I think Sark would have been a really good play caller by this time if he would have stayed on board. If they would have just, stayed patient with him. But I get why they made the move with Cutter. For familiarity with Matt Ryan, and I get why they brought him back, because Dimitroff and Quinn does not have room for error right now. So they don't have time for experimenting and trying out another play caller or another new face on the staff, which makes sense is why they brought pretty much everybody back. But I'll be honest with you guys. I don't feel very confident in Cutter this year. And I feel that, they need to upgrade the defense tremendously because of that. I don't get the sense that this is going to be a team that the offense is going to carry them. They may, this may have to be a defensive, physical team that, where the defense may be the strongest unit of the two, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, they might need that to be competitive, because especially if they don't bring back Hooper, which we're going to talk about tonight too. I just don't see this offense taking a big step forward without Hooper. And I'm not sure I think maybe expecting them to improve somewhat, second year of Cutter coming back, more consistency. That sort of
little
thing.
tweaks here and there. Like, I may see we may see Ridley get 1,000-yard season. We may see 2,000-yard receivers next year.
Yeah, I think he would have if he stayed healthy.
He would have had he not gotten hurt this year.
If he didn't get hurt. Even if Hooper comes back, I think hypothetically we may even see a career year in Hooper across the board for him as well if he's back in the fold. But little tweaks here and there I do see, but I don't. Cutter has been the same guy for the his entire tenure in the league when it comes to him being offensive coordinator and play caller. He doesn't make great adjustments, and that's what scares me in today's NFL. I mean, so you have to make moves. You have to readjust things here and there. He's just not that type of guy, and
I agree. I mean, like, the ingenuity's not there. It's the same offense. Like, the Falcons have the weapons, and hopefully, with Lindstrom being healthy all year, and McGarry taking a step forward, they have the offensive line to maybe make it work. And, best case scenario, they get like a 2012-esque season out of the offense. But that team wouldn't have been nearly as good if the defense didn't play well, because a lot of people forget that despite that defense blowing a huge lead in the playoffs twice, they were actually really good in terms of points per game. And they were super opportunistic, turnovers and stuff.
Turnovers as well, yep.
Which
top turnovers that year.
Yes, so it was, the defense definitely played a big part in that team being as good as they were. Unfortunately, it turned out to be kind of fool's gold, because when they got to play playoff offenses, the defense got totally unmasked as a fraud twice.
I think this defense can be better than that one. That was, I think, the 17th ranked defense in the NFL, which was the best in the Mike Smith era.
Ooh.
And it was bad. It was bad for a while. And like you said, that defense completely got its pants pulled down in the playoffs, especially in the second half of those games against the Seahawks and 49ers, when other teams realized that they can just abuse us over the middle with the tight end.
With the current state of the offense right now, with the guys that are on the roster, this offense is good enough. If healthy across the board, this offense is good enough to, to put up maybe, 25, 26 a game, in my opinion. But I think what will make them different or separate them from the pack, if you go back to the 2016 season, is when they faced some of the better defenses in the league, they were able to truly apply pressure on that defense. You go back to that season, they dismantled that Panthers defense twice, and I think that's what separates the good offenses from the elite offenses. And I don't think they can make that gap. That's the thing. Right.
Yeah. Like, we shouldn't be expecting them to be like a Chiefs level offense or anything like that without a major coordinator change. Yeah.
But they can be. Yes, absolutely.
They have the talent for it, but like with Cutter at the helm, I mean, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of, something that I think everyone's kind of low key hoping is that, look, you're stuck with Cutter. If this team isn't good, the hope is that they change coaching staffs and hopefully bring in an offensive head coach next year. So you bring back Hooper, You'd get, if you move on from Freeman, which we'll talk about, you draft a running back probably late day 2, early day 3. You load up the cupboard to attract the top offensive guy, which I would be, Eric Bieniemy, like, for God's sake, Falcons, please give this man a call at least. Give him an interview. You do more than 31 other teams, but
the man's going to Colorado.
Well, then he's going to come here next year. See you, Colorado, But it's just like, if you load up this cupboard, a guy's going to be able to come in here, have Matt Ryan for the first, 5 or so years of his career, get his resume built with, a top 10 NFL quarterback and a great offensive talent scheme and all these weapons. And then in 5 years, he's going to have the chance to, bring in his own guy, like draft a new quarterback and show, get all this stuff. So it's really an ideal situation, I think, for an offensive head coach that thinks they can maximize his talent. And the hope is, that we can attract that top candidate here, so somewhere else.
I don't know how you guys felt, but I saw this periodically on social media throughout the season where I guess there was this whole debate between an offensive-minded head coach and a defensive-minded head coach, and I think that was kind of overblown a bit because for some reason, I guess the favorite is for the defensive-minded guy in today's game. But if you look across the league, I mean, we just saw Andy Reid just win the Super Bowl. You just saw Doug Peterson win one a couple of years ago. I mean, Sean McVay just made one. I don't think
right. No,
I don't think you need. I think you can win ball games and you can win a Super Bowl with an offensive-minded guy as long as he has that strong-minded guy or that strong philosophy at defensive coordinator. You can win some games.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think the whole defensive head coaches are better, for Super Bowls is totally overblown. Like everyone thinks of Belichick, but Belichick is an exception to all the rules.
Exactly.
Never base anything on Belichick.
In the entire Matt Ryan era over the past 12 years, we've had 2 head coaches, both of them defensive-minded, and we've had 1 top 10 defense in that entire time. And I think more than half of those seasons, the Falcons' defense has been bottom 10 in the league.
And that defense that was top 10 wasn't even – we were looking at it like they're not really top 10. They're just – they were just making plays here and there. The numbers say they were, but we weren't even really that confident in that defense there. So
I think 2017 was the best defense they had.
It was.
Yeah, and statistically they were getting close to the top 10. Yeah, but if they had,
I think they were 9th that year.
Yeah, they were 9th. So I mean that was actually I think a solid defense overall. Borderline top 10. So hopefully. They can get back there, but
and that was the year when they didn't make those plays in the playoffs and where they showed up, but the offense didn't
the
show
defense
up.
Carried them in that game against the Eagles. I mean, the only reason they were even
against
in
the
that
Rams
game
too.
and against the Rams
too.
Special teams carried against the Rams. But that's neither here or there. Obviously, Eric is very much team cut or get out. But we're stuck with him for now, so we'll see what happens there. I know there's a lot of free agency questions. We're going to address that stuff first. So the first bit of news that we're all happy about is that the Falcons made the somewhat strange announcement that they would not be offering Vic Beasley or even negotiating with him for a new contract, which is weird because teams don't announce that sort of thing. So to me, that was them giving him the giant middle finger for embarrassing them last year, which is what he did.
He deserves it.
But really it's the team's fault for letting him do that. So, I mean, I think everyone knew what Vic Beasley was and that he didn't have the drive to work. And then they just thought, well, if we give him all this guaranteed money, I mean, that'll motivate him, right? Yeah.
Yeah, nothing motivates you like getting money and then someone telling you after you get that money, okay, now do it.
Yes, nothing motivates you like having no consequences for your actions because even if they cut you, you still get every penny. So, that's a great motivator right there. But Vic Beasley will not be back in 2020. Rejoice if you may. The hope is that someone pays him. And what's that?
I didn't see anything wrong with the announcement. I thought it was fine.
I thought it was fine too. It saves me a lot of headache. And
right.
Oh, are they going to get rid of Vic Beasley? I had to type that in every mock draft, knowing that this team is dumb enough to keep him.
That was a middle finger. Good. Yeah, he deserved it. To be honest with
you. Yeah, definitely.
Well, remember that that one article, I think it was by The Athletic, where it basically said, the only reason they signed him was because of they didn't want to blow signing, I think, Grady and somebody else. And who was it? Grady and was it Julio?
Yeah, it was Julio.
So. Yeah,
because they're under the
yeah. So I mean, everybody, even they knew that was a stupid look, but they went for it just to secure those two guys. So.
Which is ridiculous because teams have almost all of the leverage because of the franchise
pathetic,
tag.
Really.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not confirmed, of course, the Athletic report, but if it does end up being confirmed, then Dimitrov should not be a general manager in the NFL anymore.
Yeah.
Like on any team.
Yeah. No, totally agree there.
What we're saying is they paid $13 million just to have contract negotiations with Julio and Grady.
Yeah. Basically. Positive negotiations, So yeah, I mean that has not been confirmed, like Adnan said, but
I thought somebody else mentioned it.
It's very believable.
Didn't somebody else mention it?
No, we mentioned it off of that Athletic article.
Yeah. No, I mean I thought lately somebody else mentioned it.
It was reported again. And it was around the same time that the team made the announcement.
Yeah, exactly. But it was by somebody else, I thought. I can't remember who.
I can't remember who it is either. But there's probably some merit behind it as well when it comes to that, because I mean that's bad, man. God, dog, 13 million for really, and it's just. You still have some folks that are out there that are saying maybe we should bring him back.
I was done with him the night he congratulated Drew Brees for breaking that overinflated passing record.
For what? Bring him back for what? What does he do? He doesn't do anything.
Just because he gave us a good moment, that means that he's invaluable to this. We thank him for his effort,
I'm tired of the whole switching positions thing. Look, the guy was drafted 7th overall. He just completed his 5th year. Okay. If he's changing positions after 5 years, that's a problem for a top 10 draft pick. That's an issue. I'm sorry. I don't switch to linebacker.
He can't tackle, so he can't play linebacker. We know that.
He can't tackle.
Yeah, he can cover.
What the switch to linebacker is going to do?
Maybe he should play safe, or maybe he should play corner.
Because he had an interception against the Niners like 3 years ago. Who cares? Right place, right time. Can we go back to the Eagles game a couple years ago when Darren Sproles, juked him and left his Achilles sitting there on the field? Like, no,
this poor man. Yeah.
Yeah, I never understood that. I don't even think he was a good fit at linebacker in this scheme. So
if he could tackle, he could play Sam, but he can't tackle, so that eliminates that possibility. It's nice because it pretty much nails down edge as the team's biggest need. They don't really have a good excuse for passing on one early this year like they did inexplicably last year. Now, just because they don't have an excuse doesn't mean they won't do it. Another guard is coming at 16. Just you wait. But look, he promised Blank he would fix the offensive line, and damn it, he's going to do it. But
I want that offensive line fixed.
Yep, it's going to be fixed. And yeah, so the best hope for Falcons fans now is that the team does in fact draft an edge player early, and that some team is dumb enough to pay Vic Beasley like $8 million a year, so we can get a 4th or 5th round comp pick back. That's the best thing that Vic Beasley can do for us now. So
speaking of Blank, I'm not a huge fan of him stepping into football matters and telling the front office, I want this, I want that. Like, you hired these guys for a reason. Just let them do their job.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, if he's starting to do the Jerry Jones thing, then yeah, he's irritating me. But you know, for him to, he kind of spoke for the Falcons fan base a little bit. We're frustrated. We're fed up, and enough is enough. You know, getting to the Super Bowl is one thing, but that was 3 years ago. It's what have you done for me lately, league? So I didn't mind him kind of, you know, setting that standard with Dimitroff and Quinn and say, hey, your job.
I'm not talking about he wants a Super Bowl. He wants expectations. I'm talking about going in and making Dimitroff promise to get more offensive linemen, or at least that's what the report was saying.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like I don't mind Blank like trying to put pressure on the team to fix these issues or whatever, but it just feels like a bait and switch when he says when they clean house after 2018 and say like good is not good enough. Like we don't care that there was this like crazy streak of injuries, like they were 7-9. That's not good enough. We're cleaning house. This is your last chance. Then they do like worse by basically every single measure. The team is worse, and they make no changes in 2019 whatsoever and just run it back. So it's like if Blank wants to say, you know, good isn't good enough, you know, mediocre won't be tolerated. We're gonna fire you if you don't do this, and then they're worse the next year, and then they make no changes. That's what I have a problem with because it seems like there's no consistency whatsoever in his approach.
Well, I mean, it seems like they're running it back again.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
We'll see what they do in free agency, but this whole running it back thing is going to run dry at some point. Man.
I can't wait for it to happen again next year too.
Yeah,
Dirk Cutter's coming back.
Dirk Cutter for head coach.
One more year, Mr. Blank.
Yeah.
I swear, this is the
Look,
year.
You asked for an offensive head coach. Okay, we got Dirk Cutter ready to go. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Dan Quinn's going to be in Arthur Blank's office.
No.
All right, so I know we went 8-8 this year, but 8 wins is more than the 7 we had last year.
That's right.
You just got to give me one more chance, Arthur.
We get 9 this year.
I got it. Yeah. In 5 years, we can win the Super Bowl and go 16-0.
If we keep improving like this, we'll have 13 in 5 years.
Slow and steady wins the race, folks. So
he's gonna tell him about the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah.
I could see Blank sitting there like, yeah, 8 is more than 7 there.
You know, he has a point. Yeah.
He's got a point.
He's got a point there. Yep.
Well, we need this continuity.
Yep. Continuity matters this year, but last year when Sark improved and, you know, I guess Manuel must have pissed off like the entire NFL because he didn't even get a job last year. But, you know, Sark had a better season, in my opinion, than his 2017, and they canned him for that.
Sark was a scapegoat, and I dare anyone to convince me otherwise. Okay?
Debate your cat. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Argue with your mother.
Yeah.
No, Sark was a scapegoat, man.
Yes. So that's just... That's what
I think everyone was a scapegoat last year.
Yeah, except for Dan Quinn. Yeah.
Dan Quinn fired everyone to save his job, and he should have been next on the chopping block this year.
Yep.
But then he wasn't.
Yeah, Marquand Manuel did get hired this year, I believe. Like he has been hired
by the
now.
Eagles, I think.
Yeah. But last year, like it seemed like the stink was on him or something because nobody gave him a job last year, even as like an assistant. So, I don't know what was going on there. Obviously, Marquand Manuel was the coach who famously asked. It was Eli Apple, right? If he was gay.
It was Eli Apple, yes.
Yeah, if he liked men.
Wait, it was Manuel?
That was Manuel, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I assume that was why he didn't get a job last year.
He asked him if he liked men.
Yeah. Which don't ask that at the combine. That's not cool. So Falcons, future Falcons coaches, learn your lesson there. But
that's probably why.
That's what I'm saying. That's definitely why. But something like that. But we're just gonna hope for the best there. Vic Beasley gone. Falcons probably looking at edges, and we will talk about that later in the show when we get to our combine stuff, because there are some legitimately good options at 16 and also in the second round that they could look at. So we'll get into some of those options. Next big free agent rumor buzz that we've heard has been, we've kind of known about it and been suspicious of it due, to our sources, our shady league sources that we have, that Freeman has potentially been on the chopping block. It was reported elsewhere today, which is throwing, more fuel on that fire. Obviously, Freeman had a bad season, but we know Dirk Cutter is literally incapable of calling a competent rush offense, so was it really his fault? That sort of thing. The team decided not to trade him inexplicably last year when apparently the Lions were interested. And we know now that was, Quinn and Dimitrov trying to save their jobs, which I guess it worked out for them. But
did it though? Like Freeman, like he didn't even play that much.
I know, but they did save their jobs, so maybe that was maybe it all worked out. They should have been fired for not trading him, honestly. But
yeah, it's like you had a chance to completely wipe away that cap hit this offseason.
Yeah, and they would have saved like $6.5 million instead of only $3.5.
And have what, a 4th round pick?
Yeah, I don't even care about the pick. You can just take him off my hands for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would have given. I mean, I would have taken a 5th or a 6th just to get him off the books. I mean, that would have been the big deal. But
that along with them dangling Beasley out there and probably getting no phone calls whatsoever.
Nobody was interested in that.
I can just imagine how many times they got hung up on when they offered Vic Beasley.
They're like, oh, yeah, well, if you're interested in trading Austin Hooper, okay, we aren't going to trade Austin Hooper, but
we have a former All-Pro available.
Just
for you.
What if I said there was a guy on our roster who had, 15 and a half sacks? The phone just hangs up. All right, that's team number 30.
Thomas, stop trying to force Vic Beasley on me.
Yeah. Stop trying to make Vic Beasley happen. He's never going to happen. So yeah, but yeah, Freeman, different story. Since they didn't trade him, the dead money is pretty not great. $6.5 million, or $6 million dead money, and they saved $3.5 million by cutting him. So they'll owe him $6 million to not play for them if they do cut him. But they still do save $3.5 million, which could be a big deal this year because of how strapped they are for cash. So I guess I'll open it up to you guys, Eric, as our illustrious guest this evening. I'll let you take the first crack at it. Do you think that they're gonna move on from Freeman, and what would you do in this situation?
Well, I've said that there are going to be some key veteran cuts this offseason. And Freeman is one of the veterans that consistently pops up when you mention guys that may be on the outs, along with Alex Mack and Desmond Trufant. And I think of the three, I think he's the most likely to get cut because Trufant was having a pretty solid year, and letting Trufant go is going to cost them like $10 million in dead cap,
and then they won't have Trufant. So
right. So, and like I said, he was having a solid year. So I think, Freeman may be the odd man out in this situation. And, it sucks because, his lack of productivity last year wasn't entirely his fault. I mean, he did have a very below average offensive line in front of him for most of the season. Not to mention he had a guy in Cutter that didn't even want to give him the ball. But again, they're going to have to swallow the pill a little bit this offseason when it comes to letting guys go and eating some dead cap. And I think Freeman may be that guy. Running back is one of the best positions in the draft. So this is a very good draft to let him go and pick up a guy on day 3 and just, start from scratch there.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel you there. Adnan, how about you? What are your thoughts on the Freeman situation as it stands right now?
I think if they let him go, they're bringing back Austin Hooper because I think they're leaning toward bringing back Hooper anyway. But that $3 million will go a long way in helping to secure Hooper. And if I had the option between bringing back Freeman and Hooper, I'm going with the Pro Bowl tight end over the rundown running back any day.
Ooh.
And I mean, I know that was mean, but it's
sometimes the truth hurts.
Yeah, he's played like 9 games in the past 3 seasons. But I mean, this goes back to the fact that paying running backs in today's NFL a lavish amount, unless they're just in the upper echelon tier by themselves, where Zeke Elliott and Saquon Barkley are, is a very risky proposition. And Devontae Freeman, that contract hasn't worked out for the Falcons at all.
No.
Because since that contract, since 2016, it hasn't been pretty. And like Eric said, you now have to swallow that pill, and you just have to swallow it and keep moving at this point. So, yep. I mean, I'm fine with letting him go. I'm just angry that they didn't trade him when they had the opportunity, because now they just look like idiots.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know someone in the chat said there's no connection between cutting Free and re-signing Hooper, but there's not like a connection in like the literal sense that like, oh, if you cut Freeman, you
there's
have to bring
a
back Hooper.
there's a
But
connection.
there's a
You
financial
free up
connection.
$3 million in cap space.
Three and a
That's the
half.
connection.
$3.5
$3
million.
million
Yeah.
connection. You save money.
Yeah.
There's
There's a
Yeah,
financial
that's the literal connection
between
between it.
So
Yeah, I'm not saying Freeman and Hooper got into a fight in the locker room, and now it's either
one
him
gotta
or me.
go, you know.
This town isn't big enough for the two of us.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. Evan, you got takes on Freeman's situation this offseason?
No, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything they were saying. You know, I remember looking and seeing that Cutter, you know, he's got a history of really no run game. The last time the Falcons had win a full season without a 100-yard rusher was 2013, and sure enough, Dirk Cutter was with the team. I don't think that's a coincidence. Like, even last year, we had Brian Hill go over 100 against the Panthers. And then this year, you know, he gets the start against the Panthers, and it's just awful.
That was one of the worst running back games I've ever seen.
Yeah, and we've got so many running backs, and it's just, you know, it sucks because I like Devontae Freeman. Like, he's been all class. He's been one of the few Falcons to actually hate against, you know, like Adnan was mentioning, Vic Beasley congratulating Drew Brees, while Devontae Freeman's over here, you know, any chance he gets, seems like he's making fun of Sean Payton. You know, you love to have players on your team that get into the rivalry like that, but the run back position's just, you know, you look around the league, and I know it's a copycat league and everything, but a lot of the teams that have the great running backs aren't exactly the best teams in the league. I mean, you look in the Super Bowl, Mostert, I think he was a undrafted player. I think he was with somebody else. I can't remember for some reason. But who was it?
He was with several teams. He's bounced around.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like Damian Williams was with the Dolphins. I mean, you know, I'm not saying he's not good and whatever. I'm just saying you can get running backs. It's a passing league, and it's been, you know, going in that direction. You got to have a run game, but that goes more to the offensive coordinator, I think, than anything. It didn't matter if, you know, if they did something stupid and signed, if Todd Gurley got cut and they somehow had money and signed him and his injury was fine, I think Dirk Cutter would still get nothing out of him.
Yes.
So it's not actually the running back's fault. I think Brian Hill could be a good starter still if we had a offensive coordinator who understood, you know, using the run game to complement the pass. And I don't think we exactly have that because our run game's, you know, terrible based on this past season. So there's really no reason to bring him back unless it's just a Vic Beasley situation where they're stupid and they just do the complete opposite of what they probably should. So,
I have a question though. Does anyone, even let's just say they do away with Free, does anyone feel confident with the current stable of running backs that they can just trot out a guy as the starter, or do you think them letting Freeman go, they probably need to pick up either a low-end free agent or someone in the draft?
They're going. I mean, if they cut Freeman, the only running backs they have are.
I like Ito if he's healthy.
Ito, but that
concussion thing's kind of scary or whatever he had.
Yeah,
but,
you cannot depend on him to come back healthy.
Yeah.
And then they have Ito and Quadri Olison. That's it. That's the only two running backs they have under contract.
And Brian Hill, who's a restricted free agent, who I can see them, you know, bringing him back for another year, another, you know, show me year.
Yes, since he was a 5th round pick, they could, I think, give him the original round tender, and I don't think anybody would sign him.
Also, let's be honest. If Devontae Freeman went into next year with this stable of running backs, it'll probably be by the 4th game where we're asking about, which of these running backs behind Freeman now has to step up because Devontae's injured.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
I'm sorry. That missed block in the Super Bowl really has me salty.
Yeah. And I really do like Ito Smith. I think he can be like part of like a 1A, 1B type committee. But
when we saw what Allison, you know, they get in the red zone, what he can do,
short yardage and,
you know, from short yardage. So
he's a guy that I think can.
It's a gamble for sure.
Yeah,
and he got the veteran, you know, presence there, but
Hill has potential. But I would just feel a lot better at night if they were to get a guy maybe in the 4th round, and then just have all the entire stable of guys, just pretty much like a Royal Rumble. Whoever wins is.
Do you have any favorites in the draft?
Michael Pirine out of Florida is one. I did like Kylan Hill out of Mississippi State, but he went back, of course. Who else? Of course, I know how some of the fans are going to think. I think a guy like Cam Akers is a solid fit in this offense as well. But fans are going to feel some type of way about drafting another Florida State running back.
It worked for Dalvin Cook.
Right, it did. It worked for Dalvin Cook.
I mean, it worked for us too for the 4th round pick.
Hilaire out of LSU is another solid guy that I like. That reminds me a little bit. He's to me, he reminds me a little bit of Mark Ingram, just a smaller version of him. He's not the most speedy guy, but I think in the right offense, in the right scheme, he can get you 1,000 yards, here and there. So those are some of the guys that I would take a look at.
Who's like the top running backs, like Jonathan Taylor or whatever?
Taylor, J.K. Dobbins,
DeAndre Swift.
What are they? First 2 rounds?
Those guys are top 40 picks at worst.
Yeah. Okay.
Travis Etienne would probably have been a late first rounder as well if he would have stayed. I think Chuba Hubbard probably would have been another guy in the 2nd round as well. But
yeah, the thing is with all these running backs that are supposed to go early, that could cause them all to get pushed down because the team's like, oh well, if I have this choice of 4 or 5 2nd round running backs, why am I gonna take one with my high pick? I'm just gonna wait and see which one shakes out in the 2nd round or the 3rd round. And the longer people wait to take a running back, like if one doesn't go in the 1st round, I mean, you can see it on the Draft Network's mocks. Like sometimes these guys are falling into the 3rd, even 4th round because teams just wait.
Right.
And as long as everyone waits, they can keep falling. But that's the thing. It's a risk as well because all it takes is one team, 2, 3 teams to start taking running backs, and then they're all going to come off the board. So it could. I think the place that these running backs could get drafted is quite wide. Like the range of picks for these guys. Like you could see a guy like Clyde Edwards-Helaire go in the 2nd or the 4th. I mean, I think it's probably closer to the 2nd, but it could happen. It's not out of the question. So we'll see there. But yeah, I mean, I basically agree with what you guys said.
If they do cut Freeman, when do you think that would happen?
I think they'll take a running back with that
right up
that 3rd round pick. But yeah, I mean, they will cut Freeman very soon if they're going to cut him. They'll cut him within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
that's what I had been told to expect. So I mean, I think it's going to happen. And I think it's probably just another example of them scapegoating the problem, which is like, oh well, Freeman, he's not it, so we need another running back that'll fix our running game. When clearly the problem is Dirk Cutter, he can't call a run game. But getting a good running back in here for the next head coach still useful, So even though Cutter's going to squander whoever we draft, doesn't mean the next guy will. So we get him for 4 years. It's not just about Dirk Cutter. So
yeah, but nothing like wasting another year of Matt and Julio's prime to, go with Dirk Cutter as your offensive coordinator.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine that.
Yeah, and then next year after we bring everyone back after that 8-8 season, Matt Ryan may just retire on the spot.
Yeah.
Yep. Really is.
Bring back Jeremy Trueblood. Jeremy Trueblood ref, So, yes, we're gonna talk about Neal now. That's the next guy. Thanks, Al. Yeah, we're definitely gonna get to that. That's the other rumor that's out there. Keanu Neal, will they or will they not cut him? And the simple answer is they probably can't unless he can pass his physical, like even cut him. But he could still be recovering from his surgery. Like he's not cleared for like football, like getting on a football field, but he could theoretically pass his physical. So in that case, maybe they could cut him then. I personally don't think it's likely that they cut Keanu Neal because that would basically fly in the face of everything they've done previously. They were willing to give Vic Beasley a million chances, even though he was healthy. He just sucked. Yeah.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, Keanu Neal actually good, but hasn't been able to stay healthy. So, I don't think Quinn is interested in cutting Keanu Neal, who I think he views as one of his like cornerstone players on that defense. Yeah. You guys basically have the same thoughts there.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to cut him. But I do want to have a solid backup plan, a better backup plan than signing guys like Wilcox and Cyprian and I rather, they have enough draft picks this year where they can take a swing at a guy in the 5th round or so just for backup purposes. But yeah, I wouldn't want to cut him for that purpose alone, Kevin, that you brought up. I mean, you gave Vic Beasley, 5 years and all this money, and he was pretty healthy across the board. So I wouldn't cut Neal. I think when Neal, we all know when Neal's 100%, he's arguably the best player on defense. So definitely, I wouldn't let him go.
I think that's what gets easily lost is it feels like it's been 2 years since we've actually seen him at 100% playing, and when he's out there, he's literally like what William Moore used to be for us, just the muscle on the field. You can't replace that, like, as simple as a lot of people think. So I hope they don't. But at the same time, I remember last year, it seemed like they really were pushing the he's coming back healthy sort of thing. They'd always online be posting videos and stuff, but I really haven't seen anything on Neal. I don't know if you guys have seen anything different, but
I mean, I just assumed they'd get roasted by the fans if they posted video of him recovering again.
yeah, that's true.
I haven't seen anything, but
or just an update. I haven't really heard anything.
I haven't heard anything either. But I mean, I wouldn't put it past him if we see something anytime soon. And the thing is, he was improving in coverage over the past couple of years as well.
Yeah.
We knew that was his biggest bugaboo coming out of Florida. Mm-hmm. But the past couple of years, when he was healthy and on the field, the guy was able to make plays in coverage. So it's not as if, he's kind of sort of like Freeman, where you saw a downfall over the past 2 or 3 seasons. You saw Keanu gradually improve. Mm-hmm. He just had bad luck when it came to injuries.
And those injuries were unrelated, right? Wasn't it? What was it? ACL and Achilles or something?
Achilles, yeah.
They're different injuries.
So that's just random fluky stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right. So well, and the ACL, in my opinion, was the team's fault because they kind of put him back out there anyway.
Right.
In that Philly rain on opening night.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was kind of on the team right there. So, but.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with you there. But, I mean, I don't think that even if it made financial sense to cut him and he was healthy enough to where they could, that they would. So I just don't see that happening.
What would it be? 6? You said $6 million?
6.46 million.
Oh, okay.
You save every penny of it. So.
In dead cap?
No, in savings. 0 dead cap because it's the 5th-year option.
Yeah, 5th-year option, 0 in dead cap. But the point is moot if he's not healthy.
Yeah, if he can't pass his physical, you can't cut him. It's guaranteed for injury. So, I mean, you could cut him with an injury settlement, but you'd still owe him the whole salary, so it doesn't really make any sense. But, yeah, so I don't think he's going anywhere this year. If he can stay healthy this year, they'll probably extend him. His injuries will probably drive his price tag down, which is good for the team, I guess. Not so good for Neal because safeties already don't get paid enough. But, it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully he can stay healthy and hopefully he can
He's in a unique situation because he kind of sort of has to prove himself, and the 5th-year option is perfect for that. Like, let's see what you can do. So he's kind of in a pretty nice situation. Like you said, his price tag may be driven down a little bit because of the injury. So see how it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I know someone did ask, because we need to get to some combine stuff, but someone asked about the chance of the Falcons adding Dante Fowler. I mean, that does make logical sense for a couple reasons because he has a connection to Quinn and, the Falcons were linked with Fowler going into that draft and all that. But the money, probably not there. Probably not possible to shell out enough money to make that contract happen unless they go crazy with cuts. So
depends on what he wants to do. Does he want to play in it? I mean, he doesn't have to take that hefty payday. I'm pretty sure he's probably looking for it, but does he want to play in Atlanta? And his presence doesn't solve the pass rushing.
No, it doesn't. He's like a complementary piece to a first-round guy.
Right.
In my opinion, I think it's going to be. I know people are expecting the Falcons to add this big defensive free agent. And you want them to spend Hooper's money on the defense, but to you, I say... But
they're going to sign Vic Beasley again.
Hell yeah. It was all just to throw us off the trail, Yeah. But...
It was one of the it's a strategy of never let them know your next move. They're actually re-signing Vic.
I swear, I will burn my city.
I will burn Atlanta to the ground.
They're signing him to $15 million now.
There we go. Yeah, get that real money out of here. But no, like I know people want the Falcons to take the money that would go to Hooper and use it on a defensive free agent. But let me ask you, like, who was the last like legitimately good defensive free agent they signed? Like Adrian Claiborne. Adrian Claiborne.
Oh, you mean just good? I thought you meant really
no,
good.
No, like defensive end, because that's what people want, right? Like, who was the last like legitimately good edge guy that they signed?
Abraham.
Abraham, yeah. Which wasn't even Dimitrov.
Like he's one of the best in our franchise history.
Yeah.
I mean, look who they went. I mean, they threw money at OC.
Yep.
OC presence was going to help the defense, and it really didn't. What was the guy from Minnesota?
Ray Edwards.
Ray Edwards. Oh, God.
I remember the exact place and everything about the moment I saw.
I was so excited.
I was so lit.
I was so excited. I was like, we got Ray Edwards.
I was at work and I saw it on my phone and I went to the bathroom and sat in a stall reading everything. I was like, but
so hype, and unfortunately,
I was coming back from Europe on a plane trip, and the entire 8 hours, I was thinking of how good the Falcons' defense was going to be this year with Ray Edwards.
Yeah. To be fair, basically everyone missed on Ray Edwards because I think people thought it was a good signing. So it was like, it was just a whole.
It was like the Jared Allen effect.
Yeah.
It made him look so good having somebody great on the other side.
Yep.
Not just Jared Allen, but that Vikings defensive line was like.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Oh yeah, the Williams brothers.
Pat and Kevin Williams.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. What a
they
time.
always have good defense.
Yeah, but it's like
that team would have won a Super Bowl if not for the Saints cheating that year.
That is true.
Go. Yeah. So I mean, I agree. So yeah, we can, anytime we can dunk on the Saints, I'm all about that.
Saints dunk on themselves.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah.
They cover up for pedophiles apparently. So.
Well, yeah,
they do.
How's that not being talked about?
I have no idea.
Because a lot of money.
If that was the Falcons, it would be everywhere.
Oh man,
they made a huge story out of the crowd noise thing.
We're doing the audio thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
We got cream for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
They didn't even have a winning season. Like, and people are freaking out about crowd noise. It's like,
the funny thing about it, the games that they pointed out, they lost those games.
Yeah.
So how much did it really help?
Yeah, it didn't do anything. So like everybody needs to like.
And it's not like we were breaking sound records. Like we were just trying to sound like everyone else.
Just trying to get it back to like a normal crowd noise level.
Like we weren't the Seahawks or anything. We're just like, can we have some volume in here?
Yeah.
So he just turn it up a little bit more, just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Like no one's gonna notice you. Roddy White, the
Roddy
White. Somehow there's some other person involved with the Falcons named Roddy White, and he's the cheater. So that's just really
the
funny.
scapegoat.
Scapegoat, yeah, fake Roddy White or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say to wrap up this tangent, which has been fun. I don't trust Dimitrov to sign anyone but like a complimentary piece edge player, because every time he's taken a swing at some big time defensive free agent, it's basically failed. So I do trust re-signing Austin Hooper because we know exactly what we're getting out of Hooper. We know we're getting a tight end that works great with Matt Ryan, that works really well in the team, that's improved every season. Like, I know what to expect from Austin Hooper. That's why you sign him, because we know what we're getting. You don't know what you're getting in an outside free agent. So I just don't. Like, I know financially it might make sense to start redistributing some of the cap to the defensive side of the ball, but I mean, who realistically are they getting?
I think they may have, depending on the type of cuts that they make, I think they may have room to get maybe a mid-level free agent starter this year. But for those who are keeping the fingers crossed of going out and getting a guy like Clowney, like that's...
Yeah, like Ngakoue is not going to happen either.
I thought it would, but no, he's probably going to be in high demand. Pass rushers are always in high demand every year.
I wouldn't be shocked if he approaches 20. I wouldn't be shocked if Ngakoue gets more than Clowney, because I think he's better than Clowney as a pass rusher. So, as a pass rusher, not a run defender. Clowney's a great run defender, but like as a pass rusher, Ngakoue has been way more productive. But he's also been in Jacksonville with that great defensive line. So,
but But yeah, so I mean, I think it's possible that they may get a nice chip in free agency on defense this year, especially because I think the plans right now really is to bring back Austin Hooper. I know everyone is seeing the rumors about the likelihood that Austin Hooper is going to walk away. I don't know why people are jumping to conclusions like that. I think that's probably their biggest priority this offseason is to bring him back.
Probably, yeah.
So yeah, but I'm not going to hold my breath for a big name, big splash free agent guy this year because I don't think people realize, but Quinn and Dimitrov, man, they're sweating right now, okay? And they already had a free agent debacle last year. You really think they want to go into a year like this where they're really banking on signing someone and wasting more of Brink's money?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I see them kind of sort of playing it safe a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's like the fact is, for this Cutter offense to work, they need just crazy amounts of weapons to make it work. So they need Hooper to keep this offense afloat. Cutter needs his great tight end, to make his offense work. So
yeah, we had one in Tampa and he used them.
Well,
sure.
Yeah, he did. He used two. He split the production between OJ Howard and Cameron Brate. Right? He made Cameron Brate look like a future tight end.
He may be available.
Yeah.
He didn't make
Brate. Oh snap! You found out their plan. We're gonna cut Hooper, sign Cameron Brate to be the savior.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That sounds actually pretty typical. Yeah.
That actually sounds a lot like something they do.
Yeah. Everybody's talking about all this. Oh, it's going to be $13 million a year. It's going to be so much money. That's how much Hooper wants and all this. Like, how much players want, how much people are talking about them getting, and how much they actually get tend to vary a lot. Remember everybody talking about Deion Jones getting massive money, and he actually took a pretty reasonable deal, And then we had Grady, who took probably slightly more than people thought, but I mean that was pretty much ballpark. So like basically the point I'm trying to make is that we don't know what people are going to get in free agency until they get it.
The only thing that makes me nervous is like so many teams like will probably want him just because how not great the tight end position is everywhere. I mean, he is a top 5 tight end entering free agency. That's that's something that doesn't happen all the time.
They've talked about how they're not going to franchise him, but like if they clear enough cap space, they can do it. They can.
How much would the franchise tag be?
I believe it's like 11 point something.
Yeah, it's not
like 11 or 12.
It's not astronomical for tight ends,
which would be close to what he's going to get on the market anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So, that would give them the time.
And the player, would that be a scenario where if I don't know if he wants to be back. I haven't really heard a lot about it, but
I mean, I think he tweeted out that he wanted to.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like a type of guy that is like pay me.
Like going to go the Le'Veon Bell route and hold out or whatever.
He's
not going to hold out.
I think he genuinely wants to be back in Atlanta, and I honestly think if they franchise him, I think he'll be fine with that. To be quite honest with you,
I think he would play on the tag. I don't think anybody wants him to play on the tag. I don't think he wants to. I don't think the Falcons want him to.
I think he would. He's the type of just his personality. He's the type of guy that says, "Okay, you know what? I'll give you guys another year." So yeah.
Austin Hooper was a 3rd-round pick, and the franchise tag would pay him twice as much this year as his career earnings. He's not going to hold out and lose out on that money.
No, it's more like the franchise tag cripples the Falcons financially because they have no cap space.
Yeah.
So the Falcons would need to get him signed to a long-term deal to free up money, or else they're going to have to make crazy cuts. Because if they give him that franchise tag, they basically have enough to pay their draft class, assuming they make the cuts that I've outlined before, like Alan Bailey, Sombrello, Matt Schaub, and Luke Stalker. Say they make those cuts, add Freeman to that, they have a little bit more wiggle room. Like that means they have the draft class plus like $3 to $5 million. That's it if they franchise tag him. So they need to sign him long term quickly after that franchise tag, or they're going to have absolutely no, veterans coming in. And maybe that's the plan. Maybe the plan is we're going to load up with draft picks, and we're going to get some undrafted guys and some really cheap dumpster dive free agents, and we're just going to depend on that draft class to carry us. And I could think of worse strategies probably, but
But nothing says Super Bowl like, oh my God, I hope this draft class pans out.
Hey, it worked in 2016. Except for Alex Mack. They did bring in Alex Mack, but it's that was a great signing. You know, 1 or 2 great signings plus, you know, great draft class equals Super Bowl. So,
is there any other Falcons free agents aside from Hooper you guys think could be back? Or
I mean, some low-level ones.
I think Alex Mack is gone. I mentioned him earlier.
Save $8 million.
It makes sense to let Alex Mack go. I know some fans probably don't want to go that route, but the guy's 34. He's on a notable decline. Even though he had a decent season last year, but he's declining, and his dead cap is absorbable.
It's $2 million. Yeah, I mean they save $8 million by. I think it's far more likely they try to trade him to somebody than actually just straight up cut him.
Is that a absorbable word? Did I just make up a word?
Absorbable.
Absorbable.
like a daddy towel or whatever.
I think Mack will be back actually.
Yeah, I mean if they draft a center in the first round,
more year.
You know.
I rather move on. To be quite honest with you.
I mean, if they're just basically accept that they're gonna be bad, then that makes sense, I guess. But I
like this center class. This center class, they can get a starter in the second round. I really feel confident.
I think they can. I mean, Tyler Biadasz is available in the third round in mocks right now because of his injury.
Ruiz, Michigan is another guy that I like.
Yeah, Cesar Ruiz is good. Lloyd Cushenberry, unfortunately, my boy, has elevated his stock into the first round apparently.
What a name!
Yeah, Cushenberry the third.
The third.
I mean, how can you be bad at football with a name like that? That's not possible. Like, he's guaranteed All-Pro with that name.
You wouldn't expect a guy like that to be good.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that he's a first-round prospect with a name like that, like, he's an All-Pro, guaranteed. Yeah.
It's not like he plays cricket.
Lloyd Cushenberry the third.
Exactly.
Hey, bro, expect the unexpected. Like the Falcons draft, bringing back Vic Beasley.
Can you stop bringing that up, please? You're gonna bring me to tears. All right.
Hey, if we can't get that nice defensive end in the draft or in free agency, we can always fall back on Vic and Tack next year.
Vic and Tack 5.0. Bring the band back together. The boys are back in town. Let's go. Yeah.
The boys are back in town.
Oh man!
Hey, we need that continuity to continue another 7-9 season.
Yeah. Dan Quinn and the whole staff gets fired. Then, you know, Pete Carroll also gets fired. The Falcons bring in Pete Carroll, and he hires Dan Quinn as his defensive coordinator, and the boys are back in town, folks. So, there we go.
No, the Falcons hire Mike Smith.
Ah, there we go. That's like no. Mike Nolan has a historic season as the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys. Mike Nolan becomes the Falcons head coach in 2021
with Brian Van Gorder as the DC.
Oh man, yes. These nightmare scenarios, you know, they give me life at this point in the offseason.
I mean, yes.
Yeah, but no, I mean that's neither here nor there. We did kind of veer off into some draft takes. We promised some draft takes. We're going to give you some draft takes. Eric, I know you've been scouting some of the edge guys for you right now. I mean, obviously Chase Young's number one. Probably not getting Chase Young, in case you guys have heard. Probably not going to be available in the Falcons pick. So who is your guy right now that you're hoping for the Falcons to get at 16?
AJ Epinesa.
Yeah.
I think he is, outside of Chase Young, I think he is the most NFL-ready defensive end in his class. And, you know, he's going to remind some folks of Adrian Claiborne. And I think he kind of sort of changes the draft strategy a little bit for the Falcons because, you know, during the Dan Quinn era, they've been mainly getting guys that fit a certain athletic profile that they kind of need to mold a little bit. I think this is a guy that's ready to come in day one, ready to be a starter on this defensive line, and I would be ecstatic to get him. I just put out I had a scouting report out on him on Falcoholic.com, as well as Clavion Chason as well, who I wouldn't be discouraged with getting at 16. A very athletic guy. He's, of course, to the casual fans, he's going to remind people.
Big Beasley 2.0.
He has a more, right now, coming out of college, he has a more advanced skill set than Beasley did coming out of Clemson. So that's why I feel a little bit more confident in getting him. He's 6'4", 250. I think he could probably get up to 260 by the time the season starts. Which, how could you say that's undersized?
Right.
6'4".
He's a good run defender. He's super technical as a run defender.
Yeah.
So I mean, he kind of reminds me of Burns a little bit. He's a little bit better sized than Burns, not quite as talented.
But guys, Brian Burns is Vic Beasley 2.0 because of his weight.
Yes, you know. And don't even talk about Clemson players because
Brian Burns Brian Burns posted 7.5 sacks last year, and he barely played the second half of the season. Yeah. I'm just putting that out there. But all right, whatever.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, those are the top two edges right now in the first round at 16, and I think they should definitely be squarely at the top of the Falcons draft board.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it seems like right now Chaisson is actually maybe going to go higher than Epinesa because teams, fall in love with the traits. But I think Epinesa, like you said, Adrian Claiborne, I comped Epinesa to Michael Bennett. That's who he reminds me of. But it's basically the same player. I mean, Michael Bennett being like a better version of Adrian Claiborne, I guess. But a bigger edge.
I actually put in my scouting report, I think he can, when it's all said and done, I think he can be similar to
so many prospects, so little time. Yeah.
The Saints guy.
Cam
Jordan.
Yeah.
I think that's his ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I know Cam Jordan wears a Saints uniform. I get it. It's pretty solid as an edge rusher, and he produces. So if Epinesa can come close to that, I definitely wouldn't mind having him in Atlanta.
Yeah, I like Epinesa. I think I slightly prefer him over Chaisson as well.
Right.
And it seems like the way the boards are falling right now that Chaisson probably is going to blow up the combine. It'd go higher than Epinesa, but I think Epinesa, particularly early on, is going to be a better player. And I think Epinesa has a drastically higher floor than Chaisson. So, either one of those guys, though, I think would be an impact starter for the Falcons. They would both be good choices. I know some folks are big fans of Javon Kinlaw. I also like Javon Kinlaw. I don't think the defensive tackle need is as big as edge. But if say Epinesa and Chaisson were gone, sure. Yeah. Javon Kinlaw's good pick there. I mean, I'd rather take Kinlaw than someone like Yetur Gross-Matos or something like that at 16. Yeah. And Derek Brown's not going to be there, so don't pretend otherwise. Also, Isaiah Simmons, he's not going to be there either. So Isaiah Simmons could go top 5. I know people think Isaiah Simmons could fall because he's a linebacker, but
how would anyone feel if they took a corner at 16?
Like I'd feel if they took a corner at 16 every year, disappointed. I have the same take about corner in the first round every year, and it's don't do it.
Evan, how you guys feel?
I'm not for it. I'd rather go edge in the first round. I think pass rusher is a much bigger need than corner this year. Maybe next year if Isaiah Oliver doesn't pan out and Desmond Trufant is getting up there in age, then corner will be a bigger need, but not this year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I wouldn't be against it. My main concern is I'm wondering if they're going to try and trade out of that spot. Just based on everything I've been hearing this offseason, it sounds like they haven't put, that's always speculation, especially with Dimitrov. But, what's he usually moving up or whatever?
Yeah.
Maybe they move back to secure some, an extra pick or something. Who knows? But, yeah, I mean, I usually wait till right after the combine till I get hardcore into the draft. So,
yeah.
I'm
never against trading back. I'm always for it, no matter the year.
Yeah,
I'm always for trading back.
More darts, always nice.
But Dimitrov just never does it in the first round.
Never does it right. There's only 2 guys I'm trading up for this year, and that's Nick Young and Isaiah Simmons. Yeah. Everyone else,
and Joe Burrow.
Got to get Matt Ryan out of here, That ball. Yeah.
I've seen mocks with Tua.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, I've seen those.
Well, remember
as well.
TMZ? I think it was TMZ that asked Julio about the Falcons moving up for Tua.
Yeah,
I hope Julio gave a talk to Quavo a little bit and told him "Hey man, lay off my quarterback.
Calm down.
Yeah, Quavo, by the way, is an awful football player. No, legitimately, I went to go cover the Mike Vick's charity flag football event the day before the Super Bowl in Atlanta last year.
He hasn't played in a while.
And Quavo was he threw like 4 interceptions in that game.
To me, he's actually a better basketball player than he is a football player. But yeah, the Falcons. I mean, no, I've seen Tua. When the Falcons were in the top 5 in draft order, I saw Joe Burrow there as well. So it doesn't make sense to me. Like,
it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is. Someone will always say that you can get a better
What has
quarterback.
Matt Ryan done to say, like, yeah, they need to get a quarterback?
He's washed, man. Matt Ryan's washed. Okay? It doesn't matter that there's literally no way to cut him without eating like $50 million in dead cap, okay? Like, you got to get young at the quarterback position because, the only way to win a Super Bowl is with a quarterback on a rookie contract. I mean, let's just ignore all the teams,
That's how you get younger at the quarterback position. Matt Schaub is damn near 50, and I don't know how he made a career out of being a backup in Atlanta.
It is weird to think he was backing up Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Like when you really think about it, it makes you feel old.
It's even weirder to think that he led the league in passing yards one year.
Yeah. And I think I don't know about now because of Watson, but he was, last time I checked, like the best quarterback in Texans history, stats wise and stuff.
Kyle Shanahan literally carried Matt Schaub to like a Pro Bowl year. Like,
yeah,
but he also had a stellar tendency of throwing pick sixes as well.
He did. That was kind of his thing. Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, I do like Kurt Benkert a lot. He's really good at Fortnite too. So I mean, anyone that good at Fortnite.
I actually have an article coming out on that soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's like really good. I mean, I don't play Fortnite. Yeah. That's not really my game, but I know he's really good at it, and it's it's not an easy game to be
they
good
had
at, so.
A streamer bowl, which was they had 16 players like Juju Smith-Schuster and I think Baker Mayfield was there, and they paired them up with like the best streamers or Fortnite players, I guess 16. So they paired up and they had like a tournament or whatever, and they came in third. So I mean that's pretty good out of 16.
Baker was playing in a Fortnite tournament.
Yeah,
should be studying his playbook.
Baker, Juju Smith-Schuster, Kyler Murray.
Wow. Really, Baker?
The winner was Tariq Cohen, I think.
Oh wow, yeah.
I didn't expect that from Baker. I thought he's more of a
he doesn't seem like the fun type to do.
Yeah, he seems more like
you'd imagine he'd be out back shotgunning some beers or something.
Yeah, or hanging out behind the Cheesecake Factory or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Seems more like that guy.
Yeah. Oh man, Solaire says bring back the simulator. Matt Sims, baby.
Oh, not the simulator.
Not the simulator.
Well, that's preseason week 4 talk there.
And we still got Etling, right?
We're not there yet.
Exactly. He's not beating out Etling, who is going to get a Taysom Hill package this
there we
year.
Go.
Mm-hmm. Right, baby.
The future superstar of the quarterback position, Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ready.
You know who has better quarterback stats than Taysom Hill?
Franchise quarterback, Taysom Hill.
Etling can line up anywhere, man. Tight end, wide receiver, punter. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Put him out there. He's just a football player. Look, Taysom Hill, he does a lot of the same things that Lamar Jackson does. Okay, I think he's a better passer.
I don't see why no one is asking Taysom Hill like, hey man, you want to play tight end instead? You might want to switch positions. No one's asking him that.
Yeah, it's just so funny.
I think what's weird is he doubled down on it. He was like, "Oh, if the Saints don't want me, I'll take my ass elsewhere." I'm like,
he did. And
I'm like, it's one thing if the media's driving it, but he's the one who mentioned
buying into it. He's buying into the media.
PFF came out with his snap distribution this past year, and he saw his most snaps at tight end. I think his second most snaps was at receiver. Yeah. So I don't get the hoopla behind why.
I don't either.
It's the Saints trying to get someone to pony up draft picks for him, or they're trying to tank. And they're selling that to their fans that he's good.
To send draft picks for a 30-year-old gadget player.
30-year-old white quarterback, Eric. Look, imagine how many Pete Carroll-esque head coaches are just itching to get their hands on the future superstar, Taysom Hill.
That would be historically awful. Oh my God!
Look, everyone knows the breakout age for quarterbacks is at 30+ years old. So
that would be to me. That would be up there with the Texans giving Osweiler all that money. The Seahawks giving Matt Flynn a 5-year deal.
Gosh.
One game.
That was such bad timing for him.
Man.
Wasn't that the same year Russell Wilson just showed up?
Yeah.
Russell Wilson beat him out.
Yeah, and he got it off one game basically.
He was probably living high. He's like, man, I'm gonna be a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson walks in,
Hi, I'm Russell.
Well,
hey, 6 touchdown passes in that Week 17 game.
Yeah.
He's telling Russell to hold his backs.
Yep. Well, Matt Flynn was, crying into his stacks, so I'm sure he's okay. But
yeah, Matt Flynn was crying all the way to the bank.
Yeah, it's not his fault that they paid him all that money. So, but man, that take today, I guess it was an ex-Saints coach, just oh yeah, I think Taysom Hill's better than Lamar Jackson.
The special team.
Oh yeah, it was like
nobody knows how to evaluate quarterbacks like a special teams coach.
Explosive.
I was ready to be proven wrong, and I saw a tweet that was Taysom Hill was lighting it up at BYU, and I was like, well, let's take a look here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a great
They
one.
started blasting clown, circus music, and it was him just overthrowing people for 4 minutes.
It was all in one game too. All in one game, just him
against
airtailing everything.
Yeah.
And then he had that one pass against Minnesota in the playoffs this year, and it's see, he has a better arm than
It
Brees.
wasn't even that good of a pass.
It wasn't that good of a pass.
He underthrew him
for it.
Yeah, somebody was arguing with me because I tweeted that thing about Sanu that kind of exploded.
Yes.
That actually was my biggest tweet, and all I did was put the stats.
Sanu's a better quarterback than Taysom.
Somebody was trying to argue with me that it was more difficult for Hill because when he would line up at quarterback. I'm like, Sanu's lining up at receiver and usually running across unless he's out of the shotgun, and Sanu's a receiver. Taysom Hill's a quarterback, and he's still worse.
And
I don't understand how people can defend it.
Sanu was also a high school quarterback, so how is it that much harder than Sanu? Sanu was actually used to playing the position.
Right.
Yeah.
Sanu looked good when he threw the ball, man. Some of his throws were beautiful. Beautiful spirals. So.
By the way, Evan, one of the 92.9 The Game hosts stole your Sanu tweet.
Oh, I saw there was a bunch of people DMing me saying, hey, I think this person stole your tweet. I'm well, I mean,
it wouldn't be the first time.
That wouldn't be the first time, exactly. Yeah.
Someone from 92.9?
It was Mike Bell from 92.9.
Yep.
Yeah, and somebody else did.
Mike Bell.
I can't remember.
Mike Bell.
All right, you guys made our shit list, so at least I got to go on and,
You guys and Ian Rappaport.
Yeah, Ian Rappaport, we're coming for you, so get ready, but yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That was kind of funny seeing that report today from him.
Yeah.
The Falcons might cut Devontae Freeman. No shit. Yeah. We've been saying that for months.
We've been saying that, buddy, this whole time.
Yeah, another thing.
But you have to wait for the Grand Master Ian Rappaport to say it for it to be official.
That's the only way it's legit.
It really might cut him.
It's not possible that us bloggers could have any sources. That's not possible.
We were calling that when they played Houston. It was this might be.
Oh yeah. To be
he
fair,
was probably
we also called
browsing
that they
the
were
Falcoholic.com.
Yeah, we also called that they were going to fire Dan Quinn and Thomas Sterntraub. That didn't work out so well, but we can't all be.
I think everybody expected that though.
Yeah, we can't all have 100% success rate. So, I mean, I nailed one draft pick in my tenure. I got that John Kaminsky pick under my belt. So.
Yeah. I don't want to brag, but I did nail Keanu.
Yeah, you got the Neil one.
And Deion Jones.
Yeah, you got that one. I had the Kaminsky pick, and I predicted Lindstrom and McGarry in my first mock draft. But they were in different spots, but they were both in the same mock draft, so that's close enough. That means I am Nostradamus officially, so, pay tribute. But, yeah, man, those Taysom Hill takes are out of control. Just crazy.
I want to see New Orleans do it. I want New Orleans pony up for him.
Yeah, go for it.
I think the other thing, too, is when people are arguing, they're like, but he can block punts. I'm like, no shit, but when he's a starting quarterback, they're not going to have him blocking punts and
how many
playing tight end. He's the quarterback.
Yeah, think of the value, okay? You think of how much money you save signing a special teams, gunner. And
plus, people are focused on Drew Brees all week. They're not spending 100% of their time focusing on Taysom Hill.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just don't get it.
How many block punts does Taysom Hill have in his career?
Probably one.
One? All right. So
But they think it's like 10.
Infinitely more than any other quarterback.
Doesn't Julio have one career interception? So I guess he's just a natural safety.
He's
then.
the next Deion Sanders.
He
Man.
probably
Future
would
star.
be though.
Yeah.
He's
I'm
so good at
sure Julio would be an awesome
Yeah.
safety. Yeah.
Probably a bad. Yeah, Julio probably.
I don't think he could not do anything.
I think Julio could play edge and be good, honestly. So.
I mean, have we tried it?
Have we tried
Well,
it?
we're going to turn it into high school.
I think
and
he'd
just have
probably
him
get
play
more
both
sacks than
sides.
Vic Beasley.
What if he plays edge better than Beasley?
I would not be shocked.
I honestly don't doubt that he wouldn't.
Yeah. I would never put anything past Julio. I think
He could 100% be a Pro Bowler at safety if he dedicated his like.
Yeah, I
entire
think
craft
that's the
to that.
thing. He's got the talent plus the dedication. Like if he literally stopped being a wide receiver and put all his effort into being a pass rusher, I mean, Vic Beasley's half-assing it. So I'm pretty sure Julio Jones, he's got that, mentality to just do great at everything. So I wouldn't be shocked.
Have you seen him make tackles, dude? He crushes people.
Yeah.
I'll
never forget that Quan Alexander one where he ran.
Oh, yeah, dude,
like the effort he has
dude.
is tremendous.
Yeah,
You
that-
just
it
see him
doesn't
like
even
come
count.
from across the screen and just chase
The
this
one on-
man down. That
the
was the
one
most
on Jeff
ridiculous
Heath.
thing I've ever seen.
The one on Jeff Heath.
Yeah.
He knocked the piss out of
Oh, yeah, he drilled him.
My favorite one was on Marshawn Lattimore in the Thursday night game.
Oh,
because
yeah.
he made that tackle, and the Saints, because of a 10-second runoff, didn't even kick that field goal at the end of the half.
Yep.
And then he made the tackle and got up, started arguing too. Like he didn't. It wasn't. I think he was thinking about arguing with Matt before he made the tackle. Like,
You already know Michael Thomas would have.
Yeah. Well, the best thing from these Taysom Hill takes is that Mike Florio said, that Taysom Hill was the best player on the field for the Vikings and the Saints. So Taysom Hill better than Michael Thomas
you gotta
confirmed.
be kidding me, man.
Taysom Hill better than Michael Thomas confirmed. I mean, I don't make the rules. That's just what Mike Florio said. So it must be.
And they
gospel.
lost the game.
And they lost the game. Man, it sucks when you got the best player and lose the game.
Kirk Cousins wasn't that bad in that game, dude.
Oh,
Kirk
was
Cousins, I will
flinging it.
die on he is not as bad as I mean, he's not great and he's overpaid, but he's not the worst person ever. And they focus on like the Monday Night Football record and stuff, and that's that's garbage. But it's not always his fault.
No, it's not. And that's the thing with a lot of these stats. Like the stat, no quarterback making big money outside of Tom Brady has won a Super Bowl like recently. And it's like, well, yeah, but what about all the quarterbacks that were in the game that just didn't
Matt
win?
Ryan.
Like Matt Ryan, like all these quarterbacks. Like
Matt
just
Ryan
because
outplayed Tom Brady.
Yeah, just because they didn't win doesn't mean
the entire Super Bowl.
Right. So it's
His
like
fault.
you're just going to
It's
conveniently
not-
ignore that they were in the game and all these quarterbacks have been playing in the game, and you're just going to be like, well, they
Like
didn't
Matt-
win, so therefore, that means they can't. It's like,
Yeah, Matt Ryan had the 4th highest quarterback rating in Super Bowl history.
He didn't make that one throw in the fourth quarter.
And out of the top 10 players with the highest quarterback rating in Super Bowl history, 9 of them have won the game.
yes.
He didn't change up the plays at the line of scrimmage.
Look,
It's his-
he's just
even
not
though
a
he
winner.
couldn't.
Okay.
he couldn't.
Like Kyle Shanahan deliberately gave him the play late so he couldn't switch it.
Not every quarterback has that wiggle room where they can do that, but whatever.
Yeah, there's some plays where you just can't because
You
of
gotta
the
go with
personnel.
it. You kind of have to go with it.
Look, he just doesn't have it, okay? I don't know what
He
it
doesn't
is,
have the it
but he
back.
doesn't have it, okay?
Tim
So,
Tebow has it.
yeah. We need to get Tebow in here. Then this team would be good. Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, they have it. Matt Ryan just doesn't have it.
Yeah,
so.
I love that. I love that saying. I don't know what the it factor is. I don't know what it is, but he has it. What?
Yeah, Solaire.
People just go with it too.
It is. People just, look, no offense
People
to
eat that shit up.
no offense to you great fans in the chat, because you guys are all well-informed fans that are very knowledgeable and they would never slander Matt Ryan, I'm sure. But the average fan, they can be dumb sometimes. They can say some dumb stuff. So don't be like them. Say smart stuff. So yeah, just gonna throw that out there. But don't, think before you hit send on that tweet, because you could get roasted. And old takes exposed never forgets. So, never tweet out, combine times of Alabama versus FSU players. That's the other lesson I will give to you today. All right, guys, we went late. This is a fun show. It's a fun show. Um, so Eric's back. Good night with Eric. You can follow him on Twitter at _Eric_Robinson. Eric, anything you're working on you'd like to plug?
Actually, yes. Coincidentally, you let me start off the show with Dirt Cutter because I'm actually constructing a Dirt Cutter article. That should be out maybe towards the end of this week, maybe early next week, on his job security. Is he safe with the Falcons? Also, give a look at my Chase on scouting report as well. That's also out there.
Yeah, definitely check that out, guys. Good stuff. If you want an update on Chase on more than what we kind of briefly talked about tonight. Also with us, Mr. Evan Birchfield at Evan Birchfield on Twitter. Evan, anything that you're working on you want to plug?
No, just that Kurt Benkert article on the Streamer Bowl and his off season and stuff like that. But that'll be next week sometime. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Glad Eric's back.
Yeah, glad to have Eric back.
That's my first time doing it with Eric. So
no, he's a blast. He's a fun guy. Yeah. We have good chemistry. We built it up over the first, slow months of this podcast. We had to carry it for a while. So
the first 57 episodes or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. So it's nice.
Yeah. The next episode is 100.
Oh yeah. No,
we gotta do something big.
We're gonna do.
Okay.
Yeah, man, we have to do it big. You gotta be like the Dick Clark of the episode, man. We gotta have
everybody.
We're gonna have like fireworks going off in the background.
We're spending the Falcoholic's entire yearly budget.
Yes, we don't get much, but what we did, we spent on this show. So
we gotta have we have to have all the guests on, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have like pop champagne, ruin my keyboard.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Was that 12 people or something? 11.
Yeah, if we can get everyone, that would be cool.
Imagine that, just trying to get a word in. I don't know how you do it.
Right. Yeah. Also, Solaire, screw Facebook Live. Strong agree there. So glad we're off that platform. But before I forget, also with us tonight was Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way. You know him. Adnan, anything that you're working on you want to plug?
Speaking of Matt Ryan, I wrote an article today talking about how Matt Ryan has the eight most prolific passing seasons in Falcons history. So he's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And he's number 10. Number 9 is actually Jeff George.
Interesting.
Fun fact.
Interesting.
Yeah, only Falcons quarterback not named Matt Ryan to throw for over 4,000 yards in a season.
Wow.
So, Jeff George.
Wow.
So the original gunslinger.
It's still Matt's fault anyway.
Yeah, it's still Matt's fault.
So check that out. I think I gave you the entire plot of the article within the title, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's no spoil. I mean, it's very much spoiled by that, but it is what it is.
I could have gone super clickbaity and been like, "You wouldn't believe these records that Matt Ryan owns."
Oh man, football experts hate him.
And I'm pretty sure Jeff George is still lighting a cigar because he's still top 10 right now. So he's
he'll be top 10 for 2 more years, and then Matt Ryan will own the entire top 10.
Yep. Bless Matt Ryan. Bless that man. Guys, you know me. I'm Kevin Knight, at Falcoholic Kevin on Twitter. Mock draft tomorrow at noon. The new one. It's a little different. Mixing it up for you guys. So check that out if you're interested in mock drafts, which, come on. I know you are. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you don't mind giving the show a like, we appreciate that. It helps other people find it on the YouTubes. If you're not already subscribed, hit that button, and you will get notifications when we're going to go live. I usually post the show like a day or two in advance, so that's a good way to keep up. You can also follow the channel and get our other stuff, and that comes out. I know 2 weeks is Combine. I don't know if that Wednesday will work with my schedule, but if not, it'll be the next Wednesday after that, and we'll get our 100th episode bash going. We'll try to get as many guests as we can. It'll be a fun show. So we'll be doing that. Keep an eye out for the announcement on that. Just trudging along with the draft takes, free agency coming up after the Combine, and we'll go from there. A lot of off-season left, a lot of discussion left, cuts coming, so we'll see how
it's a long way until September.
Long way to go, and a lot of Dirt Cutter takes still left in the tank. We're just getting started, folks. So I could dunk on Dirt Cutter all off season, and I intend to. So we will. We'll see that. We'll see that coming. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Thanks for the new people. Thanks to our regulars, Solaire, Devin, Siege, Don Emery, Robert Kelly. If I'm forgetting you, I'm sorry. This is all the people that I see like in the last 10 comments. There's more of you I know, but we appreciate all you for tuning in. And we're so glad to have Eric back for his takes because we were missing his takes. So, all right, guys. Have a great night. We will see you in a couple weeks. Until then, I'm Kevin, signing off for Eric Robinson, Adnan Ikeç, and Evan Birchfield of the Falcoholic Live. See you guys in a little bit. Good night.